moment you've been waiting for. Here it is, you know exactly what's in store. Now's the time we laugh until our sides get sore. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. I'm so glad to be here, and he's here to stay.
I'll throw in a dash of childish delight. Look, Figment, some new friends have joined us.
Can they imagine too?
Of course!
And now, a heart-rendering ditty.
WDW Radio, your information station. Hello and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mongello, and this, my friends, is show number 137 for the week of September 20th, 2009. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. As you can tell, I am very excited about this week's show, as I have just returned from Disney's inaugural D23 Expo in Anaheim, California, and I'm looking so forward to sharing with you details and stories from this incredible event. Joining me on a large roundtable this week are a number of guests who attended the event in various capacities, including some who attended virtually from their homes. It'll be a fun look back and ahead at an historic event for Disney fans and the Disney company for many, many reasons. I'll play more of your voicemails at the end of the show, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. Last week, an historic event took place, not just for the Disney company, but for Disney fans from around the world, as the D23 Expo was held at the Anaheim Convention Center. From September 10th through the 13th, for the very first time, Disney brought together all areas of the company, from the Disney studios to the parks and resorts, consumer products, TV, animation, and so much more, but more importantly, it brought them together for and with Disney fans in an environment that can only be described as magical. Heralded as the ultimate Disney fan experience, it stayed true to its goal, as for 4 days, Disney fans were treated to all of the fun, the wonder, and the adventure as the past, present, and future of Disney was shared with their most devoted fans. And there was so much to see and to do, and so much to talk about that wasn't even really on the schedule, because there was so much fun and so much magic that was being made by the attendees themselves that certainly I couldn't and shouldn't talk about the experience by myself. So instead, I thought it important for you to hear from other attendees, all of whom will hopefully bring their own experiences and perspectives to the discussion. So I want to welcome to the roundtable, in no particular order, some very special guests. And first, remember, Mark, I said it was in no particular order. The first is Mark Lorenzo, who went to the expo as a fan. He also helped out at the table with some of the media duties. And Mark, I have to say, I really did wonder at one point if you ever were going to return with the laptop and the box people, but welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad to be on. Talk about my experience.
Yes, and thank you for bringing back the laptop. And so next is Mary Jo Collins, who also was as giddy as a schoolgirl about being there. She helped out at the table. Storytime with Mojo was a big hit with the people watching, but we'll get to that later. So Mary Jo, I want to thank and welcome you as well.
Lou, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Next, certainly not least, Lizette Tarano, again, huge help manning the table, manning the BlackBerry, and entertaining the box people. So, Lizette, a pleasure to have you on the show for the very first time.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Don't sound so nervous. It's okay. Next on the hit parade is Tony Mendyke. He has actually been on the show before, but today, Tony has some big shoes to fill because Tony is representing the literally thousands of people who watched online in, as it was affectionately called, the box. So no pressure, Tony, but welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. That eases my nervousness a bit. Thanks.
Next is, of course, you know her, you may like her, love her, whatever it may be, but the woman that literally, she tore down those walls between our booths to help create really the place to be, if I must say, in the Collectors Forum. Truly, Becky, nobody had more fun than us. So Becky Mankin from MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, welcome back once again.
We really have to stop meeting like this, you know?
That's true. That's true. This will be your last appearance in 2009.
Right.
And for the first, actually maybe second time ever, a very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, might I present the brains and the beauty behind the podcast, Deanna Mongello.
Yay.
Deanna Mongello.
Hello.
Yay.
Deanna, yay!
Playful spooks have unavoidably detained Deanna Mongello, those spooks being her kids. So, and notice, tonight they're her kids when they're sleeping like angels, and they're my kids. So tonight they're her kids. But she will join us when the codeine finally kicks in and the kids are asleep. I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, Deanna, important that she comes on the show because she really was, and I'll say this because she's not here, but she was the machine that kept the booth going and the energy level so high. So she definitely needs to be here to share stories and probably embarrass me along the way as well. So again, I want to thank all of you for joining me because I'm so happy to have you guys here to talk about and reminisce about the event. And honestly, guys, I need you here because I don't know about you. Even before we get into it, the whole event was, it's still kind of a big blur to me. I thought it would take a few days for it to sort of sink in and I can kind of process everything. But there was so much going on before and during and even after the events were over that it's kind of a blur. I mean, does anybody else or did anybody else feel that way on Thursday or even now?
That is such an understatement. That is such an understatement, Lou. For me, in particular, when I saw that the schedule was going to be 4 days, I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's just so long to be on the floor. But there was so much Disney eye candy and events and things and announcements and places to be and people to see, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I kind of would describe it with two phrases. One would be like Disney heaven, or the other phrase would be like Disney on crack. But since it's a family show, I'll probably go with the first.
You know, that's probably marked the first and the last time that the words Disney and crack will ever be used together on this show. So, thank you.
But isn't it true, though?
Well, I will tell you that somebody who came by the table, I thought sort of encapsulated what was going on very well, because she said, you know what? It's like drinking from a fire hose, because there's so much you're getting hit with the second that you walk in the door. And that's the thing. That's why, you know, when I was preparing for this segment and thinking about trying to recap it, I realized how difficult this might be because there is so much stuff going on. And it was such a blast while it happened. And then sort of in retrospect, I'm like, wow, that went by very, very fast. But there were so many layers and elements and things going on that were on the schedule, stuff that was off the schedule, stuff that was taking place in the forums. It really was sensory overload. And maybe, you know, I want to hear from some of the other people. When you guys first walked into the venue, when you walked into the arena, which was ginormous, to say the least. So, Lizette, for example, you actually got there a little bit early. You were helping me set up at the table. Even before the guests started rolling in and things started kicking off, what was it like when those doors opened up and you're hit with, again, sensory overload?
For me, it was completely overwhelming. Like Mark said, it was kind of like Disney heaven. So you're walking in, and I'm just like walking on cloud nine. And I had that feeling for the first 3 days. It's all, like you said, a big blur. Finally, on the fourth day, I think when everything was finally settling in, it was over. And, you look back on it, and it just went by all so fast. And I spent most of the time with the table getting to interact with people, which was wonderful. But it definitely took a couple of days to process everything that was going on.
What about you, Mary Jo? I was going to say, you were very, very excited, very much looking forward to this. What was it like when those doors opened for you?
Well, like Lisette said, it was completely overwhelming. I just could not make a decision as to what I would do first. And there was just so much to see, and so many celebrities to chase, and so many meet and greets, and, people in the box to talk to. And, it's just hard making up your mind what exactly you wanted to do first. And by the time the first day was over, I'm thinking, I haven't even touched the surface here. The second day thought, I've got to make some movement here. There's a lot of things I didn't see on the first day.
First of all, it's funny that when you refer to celebrities, you talk about chasing them, not seeing them, not hearing from them. I need to go chase those celebrities, and we'll get to that because I actually physically witnessed you chasing down celebrities in and out of the arena, which, again, I'm sweating.
Hey, Lou, this is Mark. I just wanted to mention, too, that one of the neat things about working with you is you got us exhibitor badges and for Justin and I, media passes. So it let us in there early before 8 o'clock, before the D23 members could go in. So we saw the show floor almost empty, and we were able to walk around. I took pictures. I mean, it was kind of amazing to be able to get that kind of access, especially early in the morning when nobody was there.
Yeah, I got in. I actually, for a lot of reasons, I changed my flight from Wednesday to Tuesday because I was just panic-stricken about all that needed to get done. So I got in Tuesday to set up, and I gotta tell you that when I walked in that door, and it certainly didn't look like there was going to be a show starting in 2 days. It looked as though they were a week out. So congratulations to all the people that made that happen in a short amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
I had this huge grin on I could tell I had this huge grin on my face. And even Wednesday, I did that little quick video blog, and everybody said, we can see it. We can see that excitement on your face, because I'm like, yeah, this is going to be something special. This is going to be huge. And certainly it was. But tell me this, before we start talking about the event as a whole, when I heard about the event, I instantly knew that I had to be there as a fan to cover it for the show. And I did want to exhibit, because that was an important part. Becky, I'm sure that was something for you as well. But for those others of you that were there, Mark and Mary Jo and Lizette, when you heard about the expo, what was it? What was it for you that made you say, I've got to go? I need to be at this. Was it the celebrities? Was it one thing in particular? Was it just sort of the whole Disney geek nirvana that it was going to be?
Well, for me, honestly, I started, when they announced the expo, it just hit me. That's the same week of the Disneyland Half Marathon. And it didn't take too long for me to figure out that I had to be there, because I could actually get in the race, get my coast-to-coast medal, and then actually go to the D23 Expo all in 1 week. And, it just made sense to me.
What about you, Mark?
Well, I signed up on the first day, and I really didn't know a lot about D23, but I knew I kind of wanted to be a member. And then when they came out with the expo, I think it was maybe the end of March or April, I immediately called Stephanie Hudson, my I'm Mouse Fan Travel, and I actually booked through her.
Ding. Oh, God. Jeez Louise.
There's a plug for you.
Not only do you plug Becky.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
So anyways, I actually bought the plane ticket like in the springtime, because I knew it was the first one, and I knew, even though they hadn't made any announcements about schedule or anything, I knew it was going to be incredible. I don't know if I'll be able to go back next year, but I sure want to. And if they ever hold it in Florida, boy, that's going to be even bigger than it was, in California, I think.
Yeah, and that's something, as we talk about the future of the expo, it definitely is going to be something that bears mentioning. Now, see, and for me, this was very weird, because I had to wear 3 or kind of more hats, because I was going as a fan, I was going to cover it for the show, I was going as an exhibitor, I eventually also went as the packing and shipping department. Let's speak not of the postcard delivery, please. But when I heard about it, like I said, I knew that I had to be there. But did any of you have expectations going in? Remember, Disney sort of released details about this, which I thought was brilliant and frustrating because you want to just hear everything. Little by little, they were leaking out things as they did it. What were your sort of expectations going in, or did you know what to expect at all? I mean, Becky, what about you? You know, because I think you sort of thought early on, this is something I'm definitely going to be at.
Right. We were in a different situation when, of course, they announced it. I immediately bought tickets from a fan perspective because we did not know if there were going to be any opportunities to actually be on the floor and have a booth, and bought tickets, was ready to go. I was really excited to be there as a fan. And then, luckily we were one of the agencies that was invited to be on the floor. So that changed the whole game completely. And I was really, my expectations were, it was very interesting because I was thinking it was going to be a lot of show and sale, which there was a lot of great things there. Thankfully, I left the American Express card in the safe in the hotel because that was scary. But for sure, we'll talk about shopping later. But my expectation was that there would be a lot of fans, there'd be a lot of things to see and do, but this completely went above and beyond anything that I was thinking we'd see.
I certainly felt the same way. What about Mary Jo or Lizette? Did you sort of? I know Lizette, you sort of were a latecomer to deciding to come to D23. Did you have any expectations going in?
I did, and I actually went in not wanting to have any expectations because I, wanted to kind of be surprised by what was going on. So I actually didn't really research much about it until I think the day that I was flying out. So I didn't have any expectations at all.
What about you?
I was exactly the opposite. I mean, every single day online, researching, wanting to know what celebrity's going to be there.
See, I was like, where's John Lasseter going to be on Thursday at 10 a.m. so I can stalk him? Yeah,
so I had high hopes to meet, some celebrities, as you can tell.
Yes, and when we get to celebrities, I'll just sit back and let you go to town because that's.
And hey, Lou, I kind of knew in the back of my mind that Disney was going to, they had announced a lot of things, but I knew they were going to give some big surprises just because I know how Disney, works, and they'd like to surprise their fans. But I was really impressed with how open they were and to the fans, and they were kind of like opening the doors to let their fans in. I mean, there were Imagineers walking around the show floor. They were in the Parks and Recreation explaining all the new things, and it just was amazing. I mean, you see some of these living legends walking around that had actually worked with Walt. So it was just crazy the access you had to, basically Disney legends and celebrities.
Yeah, and I know that when I went in, and again, I mean, I could feel the excitement sort of building in me as I saw the Collectors Forum taking shape. I saw the Parks and Resorts exhibit come together, and I saw the venue, which, again, was huge, coming together and again done so very well. But before we start getting into things, I want to talk about something that I didn't expect necessarily going in. It was something that I had thought about, I was going to try, and had no idea if it would work, and if it did, how well. And that was another element to the show for me, and I think really for all of us who were there by the booth, and that was the live broadcast. I've done the live sort of video broadcast with chat before, from studio/home, whatever it was, and it wasn't clear about what the internet access would be. Would it support those kind of live streams, whatever? I tested it on Wednesday, and again, much to my surprise, hundreds of people showed up for the 5-minute test, and already I could tell how excited they were just to see what was going on. And what ended up happening, and Tony, this is where you can sort of speak a little bit to it, and as we go through what it was like from your perspective. Broadcast all 4 days from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 5-6 o'clock at night. And it's not about the numbers for me, but I just thought I couldn't believe how many people were there watching, how many unique visitors were there watching from all around the world. I mean, there were people from the UK and Australia and Japan and the North Pole. I don't even know how far it went because it was going so fast. But I've got to tell you, and all of you can correct me if you think it's, that enhanced our experience so much more than as if we were just at the expo and at the booth itself.
Well, you know, Lou, from someone who was in the box, it was insane. Like it was the chat was going by so fast you could hardly keep up with it. People were just so excited, you could tell. I mean, there were people in that chat room from 8 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so we would all gather 8 a.m. like the same people, all the East Coasters, if you will. We were there waiting, like, come on, Lou, when are you coming on? When's it coming on? And when the camera finally came out, when we saw you log in to Ustream, the place went nuts. We were like, here we go. It was amazing. The excitement was palpable. I mean, and I'm just staring at a screen. I'm sure my boss is glad that the expo was over because there was not much work done on Thursday and Friday. Thank God there was no IT emergencies for me because I was glued to my monitor.
My new tagline, by the way, is going to be Lou Mangello bringing productivity to a grinding halt. I like that.
Indeed.
It happened, and I know it wasn't the only one.
And from a booth perspective,
were you the only ones broadcasting? Sorry.
Oh no,
were you the only ones broadcasting live?
I mean, as far as I know, we were. I mean, even there wasn't a lot of traditional media. Certainly, nobody broadcasting all day, which was great. And my goal with doing it, Mark, was really just to try and bring as much of that experience as I could, both at the booth and when we picked up the box and walked around, to those people who couldn't get there.
Well, you succeeded, sir. All of you. All of you made all of us box people feel like we were there and make us want to be there in person so much more. But not from a jealous perspective. We were just happy to come along for the ride.
Literally. And I will tell you, there were two people that came up to me, one of whom specifically said, you know what, Lou? At 2:00 on Thursday, I was watching you, and I got tired of it. He says, I literally closed up the laptop, threw clothes in an overnight bag. I drove to the airport and said, get me the next flight out to Los Angeles because I couldn't stand not being there, which I think is just, it's very telling about, I guess, what that experience must have been like for you guys. And I think that's great because I wasn't sure how much of the excitement and fun would have translated through that little screen.
Well, for me, and hopefully I'm speaking for all the box people out there, it really did translate. I mean, I was excited every step of the way, from when Becky and Deanna took us on our walks. We saw vendors. We met Becky's new boyfriend. It was fantastic. The interaction that they had with Push is Becky's new boyfriend, for the people out there who are not box people.
And my husband.
And my husband, sorry, that's right. It was great. I mean, it was fantastic when Bob Arger walks by, and having Lou come back and like, why didn't you tell him to come over to the booth? Yeah, it was just fun. It was a riot. I mean, to have people like I said, Becky and Deanna, and Mary Jo and Mark and everybody that came over to the booth, and the last couple of days with Scott Otis came over. I mean, who was a fellow box person. Who said many times, I know what it's like to be a box person. Here's what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And he would tell what happened, and it was fantastic to Deb Wills and to the Screamers and, Jill and Carolyn. Everyone may know the Screamers. I know Becky does. It was fantastic. We had such a good time being in the box, and they have their own Facebook page set up. Okay. www.tinyurl.com/boxpeople. That'll get you to the Facebook. Okay.
Well, even from in the booth, I got to tell you, all of you who were there in the box watching us, it made it so much better for us as well. There would be times when those very large events would go on and the floor would literally empty. Mm-hmm. And we would sit there and talk to you guys in the box about what we were seeing, and then pick you up and take you to the different exhibits and talk to the artists and, going to the tea party, and then coming back and then hearing Lou come back and say, "Oh my gosh, this is what we just learned." I had somebody actually say, this will date me here, but said it reminded me a lot of spring break coverage on MTV, where there were fillers and there were people talking, and then there'd be the exciting thing where someone found a celebrity and brought them back to the mic. And it was just really exciting for us as well. So, thanks to all of you who hung in there for 4 days.
Right, and it really was thanks to everybody who was there, because it wasn't about watching my big head in front of the screen for 4 days at 8 hours a day. It was a collaborative effort from all of you. One of whom in particular, and first of all, guys, listen, it's no mistake that I didn't surround myself with all these beautiful women to, a little eye candy for the Vox people. Becky, Lizette, Mary Jo, and my new guest to the show, who just happened to walk in looking as beautiful as ever, the lovely and talented Deanna Mongello. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Hey!
I made it. I can't believe I'm sitting here. It's pretty, Lou's right here. Like, I can hear him even echoing, even more so now.
It's awful in stereo, isn't it?
It's crazy in stereo, let me tell you that. Crazy.
So yeah, you were very much all, like we said, a big part of the what was going on for the box, but really more so too, there was such an energy, not just on the entire floor, because it was a palpable energy, but I just kind of felt it over in the booth, and I said half jokingly about how much fun we had, even during some of the downtime. Just, again, everybody sort of running back and forth and entertaining each other in all these very different ways, and some of the other people that came by to entertain us as well.
So, Lou, I've got a kind of a story about that, because, I was out, as you know, out kind of around. I wasn't at the booth too much, just taking pictures, recording audio, and helping Justin record video. And I heard people talking, saying, "What's that booth that's so excited?" I mean, they can hear them all across the floor, as it was the WDW radio and MEI Fan Travel booth. And there was such an excitement around that whole booth. I mean, I heard quite a few people talking about it while I was waiting in line for events and stuff like that.
Well, I'd have to add that Deanna was just the rock of the booth. I mean, she was there the entire time and made such a great impression on all the fans, and really brought a lot of people in to learn about Lou's products and about the podcast and about the audio guides and the magazine and everything.
Yeah, and she helped introduce me to my new boyfriend, Push.
Yeah, when I did untether her from the table for a little bit, you guys grabbed the laptop and went off. I mean, that was great too, is that it was just a casual, fun thing. You guys picked it up and you took that energy and excitement with you. And I think, Mark, maybe that's why, is that people saw the laptop going around and the videos and everybody just having a good time and maybe wanted to find out what was going on. And I think that's awesome. I'm happy it sort of expanded out from beyond our little corner of the forum there.
But, Mary Jo, I have to say that you were exciting just to come back from all the events that you went to, and just like a teenager meeting the Beatles every single time when you came back, because we were always, it was like, oh my God, it's Mary Jo's story time. What does she have for us this time? So every time you came back, because I was at the table so much, Becky and I were there I was there basically with Lizette and Becky's team, and every time you came back, you filled us in on, oh my God, you're not going to believe this, and oh my God, you're not going to believe who I met, and oh my God.
My God, I just tackled Tim Burton on the way to the bathroom.
Oh my, so every time you came back with another story, it was so exciting, because then we would tell you what happened to us and who was there, and it was such a collaboration from everyone's exciting stories. I actually felt like at times that I had like 8 children, because
bite your tongue, woman.
Because the guys would go out and have to do their thing, and the girls would go out and do their thing, and Lizette and I and Becky and her wonderful team would be there, and I would be like, okay, well, there's going to be this mass exodus from all these things, and I have to buy everyone lunch, and we have to go get everyone drinks and make sure they, use the bathroom. And I thought, wait a minute, I don't have my kids here. Like, what am I doing?
I said at the beginning, Deanna was a machine. You were a machine, and you made sure we ate.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I finally had to put my foot down and say, come on, you're going to meet some of the Lost characters with me.
You
and
did.
He finally did leave. I had to just say, you're going to do it.
Yeah, it was. It was great. That was exciting. Thank you. That was very exciting. Yes. And also, like, the caffeine. Thank you, Lizette, for the espresso machine and the little man you met at the coffee cart, because that was a help, too, to us.
Yeah, he was priceless.
Yeah, he was, definitely. I agree. I agree. But it was definitely an exciting 4 days. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of still, like, catching up from it.
Because, that's what we said. Like, we're still processing, and I might actually need to get more than 3 hours of sleep tonight.
Deanna, I'm still talking to my computer screen.
It's funny because I'm still looking at mine.
There you go. See? Oh, my God. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I'm definitely having withdrawals. I'm just waiting for a celebrity to walk in the front door any minute. It's just not happening.
But I think part of it, too, is processing all of the information that we got on the floor.
Right.
All of the announcements, all of the things we saw, all the things that are coming in 2011, 2012. I still really don't feel like I have a handle yet on all the new great stuff that they had, put on the table.
Because we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. And other people, and again, there were some people who I wanted to have here tonight who couldn't make it. I think they were recruited by the Dharma Initiative or something. So Justin and Lori, who are also at the table, and huge helps. Lori had to leave early. Mary Jo, you left a little bit early. We all never got a chance to sort of sit and kind of debrief and sort of process everything. But the one thing that I saw was, as long as the days were and as tiring as they were and as much as was going on, no matter what everybody left, everybody looked kind of sad when it was over. Like, wait a minute, this is like summer camp. I don't want this to be over yet.
I was just going to say that. Those, like it was so awesome, the 4 days, but I was sad that we were leaving because I had so much fun with all you guys that I was like, wait a minute, we got to go home now and like face reality? Like, can't we just have like one more day, like all of us together?
I got an email from somebody who was in the box. I think it was day 3, it might have been day 4, that said, it's midnight on the East Coast and we're still chatting.
Yeah.
There's still people that go to the box every day. Okay?
So Lou, what's the story with the box? I wasn't around when. How did that come about? And was it something you said, or
I think it was something I just
about your basement or something.
Right. Everybody was sort of complaining that they were locked in the basement. So whenever sort of some unsuspecting guest who was on the floor walked by and was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" all of a sudden that the chat would go crazy with, "Help us, please! We're locked in Lou's basement." So
right.
I think at some point I may have just said, without thinking about it, like, okay, I'm going to pick up you guys in the box and take you with us. And
it's stuck.
I guess it's stuck, clearly by the T-shirts.
Lou, it actually started last time that you did this at the Pacific Northwest meet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
That's when I started locking people in the basement. You're right.
Exactly. And then it became the box in the basement at D23.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yep.
And so the rest is history, right?
The rest is history. You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
There's T-shirts and buttons on Cafe Press. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God! Tony, are you kidding?
I did not start. Just so you know, I didn't do that. A box person did that on their own. I didn't.
It was like the second day, and they're like, "Here's website link." It was Cafe Press, and there's T-shirts and buttons.
Oh the one that I think I'm going to put up there is Icy Box People.
Oh, that's good.
Well, now people are asking for like a Box People meet, and they're posting pictures of them looking at the box. Like some guy put it up on his big screen TV in his living room and watched all weekend. I'm like, dude,
oh my God.
should just come out.
There's a great picture of Justin and you and I standing there at the very end when we're all saying goodbye, and we look like we lost our puppies or something.
I thought it was the one of Mark, Justin, and I wearing princess crowns. So I'm thankful for not.
Oh, we don't want to get into that.
No, yeah, let's not get into. Okay, so here is the interesting thing. We've been talking about this for upwards of 30 minutes, and obviously we're having a great time reminiscing about our experiences together and our experiences on the floor and with the box people. And did you notice we have not spoken one word about anything official that had gone on? We haven't even talked about, that guy Bob Iger who was there, or Johnny Depp. And it just goes to show we've talked about this on past shows, that fun and that magic that gets created when like-minded Disney fans and passionate people get together. And I think that's very much a testament to what Disney was able to do by pulling this event together. So just a quick aside.
Yeah, I agree.
And nothing from the box people. Okay, so let us move on then to some of the things, because I do want to try and recap and maybe highlight some of the things. And again, for me, a lot of this is a blur because I can't process it all, and I didn't get to see a lot of it. And there were so many different layers and elements to the expo. But let's sort of take maybe the headliners or the highlights, and those are a lot of things that took place in the arena over the 4 days. And really the main sort of keynotes there was the Bob Iger keynote grand opening and the Disney Legends ceremony and Dick Cook and Jay Rizzullo and John Lasseter
and Mary Jo, didn't you meet Jason Sorrell?
Who didn't she meet?
Don't you have a story? You have a story for everything, I know.
She talked about chasing celebrities, but that's,
matter of fact,
I think that's a whole nother show for a different.
That's a new segment.
Yeah, Mary Jo story
time with Mary Jo. We're gonna have you come on.
Absolutely.
So we, I know a number of us were able to go and see a couple of the presentations, and just sort of quickly recapping them, starting off with Bob Iger's. The one thing about his talk, well, two things actually. Number one was the fact that we had access for the first time to see and hear from him. And the way he spoke was, I'm not sure if you'll understand what I mean, but I felt as though he was speaking with the fans, not at the fans, not to us. He wasn't just reading off a teleprompter. There was a genuine excitement and passion about it in his voice and the way that he was talking to us, as opposed to maybe talking to shareholders or executives or the media. And that's what about this event that I loved so much, was that for the first time, they were making these speeches and announcements and reveals to us as Disney fans, as opposed to going directly to the media. I mean, does anybody else who got to see, I know, Mark, you were in there, did you get that same sense when you saw Bob talk?
Yeah, he did. He had like a gleam in his eye, and he was like, here, I'm going to tell you something that nobody, else has known before. And then it went right in, that session went right into with a 10-minute break or something, right into the Legend ceremony, which with Tom Bergeron and him, or Bob Iger, kind of emceed the whole thing. And that was pretty amazing when they were telling stories about all the legends that they inducted in, and Betty White was there. Robin Williams at the end.
Both of whom, by the way, stole the Betty White was hysterical.
She did. She stole the show.
And thankfully, they went in alphabetical order. Maybe they did this on purpose. Thankfully, Robin Williams was last, because I don't know how anybody could have followed what he was doing.
Yeah. And the minute they said Betty White's name, she ran right up there. And they had these whole, Tom Bergeron was supposed to speak a little bit about her, and then Bob Iger was supposed to speak a little bit about her, and then she's supposed to get a picture. And they said basically they had to throw all that out because she ran up on stage.
But it was great. I mean, the fact that it was it did go off script like that. And Tom Bergeron was great how he ad-libbed along the way, and Robin Williams picked up right after that. Again, a pleasure for us and an opportunity for us to see something that no sort of Disney outsider has had a chance to witness before.
Right. Lou, I was going to say that, Bob Iger really created excitement about the exposition in general. He just, wanted to make sure that we understood that, this was created for us, the fans. And because of that, he allowed us to see 30 minutes of The Princess and the Frog. And that was just really exciting.
That looks amazing, by the way.
And then Anika Noni Rose came out, the voice of Princess Tiana, and sang. And that was just incredible. It just gave me chills.
Yeah, we could talk about some of these individual elements, like The Princess and the Frog, for a long time, because I will tell you, honestly, when I first saw the trailer and heard about the movie, I said, okay, I was in a wait and see kind of mode. And then they showed you a half hour of it, and they turned the lights up, and I'm like, what are you doing? You can't stop now. You tease me.
It was beautiful.
I'm telling you, they're going back not just because it's traditional hand-drawn 2D animation, but they're going back to characters that you immediately gravitate towards, and music, the importance of the music for Disney films. I think they're recapturing in beautifully rendered environments. So that created a new excitement, I know for me personally, about wanting to go see Princess and the Frog, or at least now the last hour of it. So
yeah, that's probably the longest teaser ever.
Yeah, but it did its job, because now look how excited people were when they came out about wanting to see that next film on the slate.
And then there were
they were definitely very, very strict, though, and that was one of the things that I had a little hard time with. They wouldn't let us take cell phones or any cameras or anything to those major events, because they didn't want it showing up on YouTube if they were showing you a new movie or whatever, because, nowadays in the age of electronics, people can publish to YouTube instantly. So.
And that's what was happening. I mean, we were literally running back and reporting and trying to get stuff up online, which I couldn't. I could only juggle so much. I couldn't get as much up as I wanted to, but at least I could report back to the box people. And I was my little fake fat fingers on my iPhone were tweeting as fast as possible.
And the other thing, too, is that they were so smart because of the products that they showed in the venue that incorporated into all these new things that they, had at all these different events that you guys went to see. Like all the things that go with the Princess and the Frog, that's at Walmart, the bedding and the dolls, and it's amazing. It was completely amazing how everything was incorporated there.
These guys know
right.
what they're
doing. And I
don't
know how many people actually made it to the third floor, but on the third floor throughout the day, they actually had an animator. They're drawing scenes from The Princess and the Frog right on the animator's desk, and that was pretty cool.
I think, too, what I saw happening was there was an escalation of things that were going on at the arena. So the next day, we have Dick Cook talking about Disney movie magic inside the Disney studios. And if you were excited about what you saw at Bob Iger's presentation, there were many, many, many wow moments here for me, and I think for a lot of people, one of which was when the Muppets were shown on stage. It was shown on screen and then came out on stage, starts singing, and then Kermit pops out, starts singing Rainbow Connection. Not a dry eye on the house, including Justin Machoni.
They were in a big ferry boat, too, and there was probably 20 of them at least. It
was awesome. I mean, it was starting out with Fozzie and Pepe, the King Prawn, who were doing this little shtick, and it just turned out to be this huge musical show-stopping number. A salute to all puppets, but mostly Muppets. And of course, they announced the new cheapest Muppet movie ever made. So, and again, that was the big wow. And then it sort of goes on from there. Mark, I know you were there for the entire Dick Cook presentation. Just talk about just one or two of the other little highlights that they had there as well.
Well, they had a lot of stars there. Nicolas Cage. They actually announcing the Sorcerer's Apprentice movie coming out. I'm not sure exact dates on that, but that looked interesting. They actually brought John Travolta, Kelly Preston, and their daughter, announcing, I think it was Old Dogs movie, with Robin Williams. So he was a total surprise. They also had some big name directors there. They had Tim Burton, Robert Zemeckis, and Jerry Bruckheimer. So, and then toward the end, the Muppets were kind of in the middle, and then toward the end, they brought out Miley Cyrus, and she sang Climb, and she was actually awesome. So that was a real big surprise, and she sounded just as good as on on her album. And then at the very end, they start playing Pirates of the Caribbean music, and out comes Johnny Depp dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow on a pirate boat. And he talked in character to, I think it was Dick Cook, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then, you heard this scream, okay, that actually echoed from the time that door opened all the way back to our booth, which was Lori, who couldn't believe that she saw Johnny Depp, and it was the most hysterical thing. If anyone was at the booth when you see that, see that.
Oh. She was screaming, and she ran back, and she rubbed it in our faces.
Oh my, exactly.
She got to see Johnny Depp.
Exactly. And it was the real one, too. It wasn't just a body double. We actually found out later that he has his own. Lou will tell us a little bit more about this, but he has his own. He keeps most of the first costumes, and he actually wore one of his pirate costumes.
Yeah, and again, it's some of those, unanticipated surprises that we were getting along the way. And the following day, Jay Rizzullo, this was the one I was really, really sort of had circled as the must-do for me, was Jay Rizzullo talking about imagineering the future of the Disney theme parks and confirming things that we had heard rumors about, like Fantasyland. But to see the concept art out there and to hear him talk about it, to hear him be so excited about it, again, Fantasyland is a whole nother discussion about what's taking place there and how excited I think we all are for that, the near doubling of the size of that. And they did something great, too, with the announcement of Star Tours, not just because Darth Vader was on screen interacting with Jay Rizzullo, but we got to see a preview of it in Disney Digital 3D, which was phenomenal.
And plus, there was the 501st Stormtroopers.
Who came by the table, by the way? Who came? We had a couple of Stormtroopers come by the table and
held you up.
And held me captive.
Yeah.
That was great.
Exactly. I think that was arresting you, actually.
They were actually arresting. Yeah, one of them actually put on a WDW radio shirt. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool. So, my kids actually love that picture, too. They're like, wait, you met the Stormtroopers and they were holding Daddy hostage?
They're soon going to realize that when we say that I'm going away on business, they're like, wait a minute, dude, you're taking pictures with Stormtroopers. Yeah. You're not going away on business.
Exactly.
And when my son starts calling me dude,
my son saw some of my pictures and he's like, it looks like you had a real good time, Dad. I wish I was there. I said, yeah, I wish you were there too.
No, you were working. You got to just tell him that you were working.
No, it was a research trip.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to learn the lingo. It was a research trip, okay?
Right. Lizette, where were you for 4 days?
Yeah.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Where were you for 4 days?
I was at the table.
You were on a research trip, weren't you?
Yeah.
At the table, yeah.
That's right.
Actually, no, I love being at the table, but my daughter actually saw Mary Jo's pictures, and she's 14, and she literally cried and made me promise I would never go back without her because she's a big fan of the Disney Channel, and when she saw all the stars that were there, she was so upset with me.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's maybe a good way to talk, and let's just sit back because Mary Jo is going to go to town here, about, in addition to the announcements and the presentations and the exhibits, which we'll touch on. One of the other big things for a lot of people were the celebrities that were there, and there were a ton. I mean, from, again, the people that you mentioned, from Dick Cook, John Travolta, huge fan of Kelly Preston, by the way, Johnny Depp, Tim Burton. The Disney executives and the Disney legends, I think, are celebrities to many people, but there were also a lot of Disney Channel stars, and there was Donny Osmond was there, who I know for a lot of people is still considered, he's hot to a lot of people. People from ABC, a lot of authors and artists. Jim Shore was there, Thomas Kincaid, Robert Olszewski, Jason Sorrell, Ridley Pearson, Don Hahn. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And
Marty
that,
Sklar. Again,
Marty Sklar, one of those legends that was a celebrity for a lot of us.
The first day.
Yeah. You're right. And it wasn't just the opportunity to see them on the stage, but you were able to hear them Marty Sklar giving a talk on how to be an Imagineer, and some of the other people doing autograph sessions and signings. I mean, that was a huge, huge draw and something very exciting, I think, for a lot of the people who were in attendance. Mary Jo, take it away.
Well, I think Mark brought up a really good point just a minute ago when he said about what his son had said, that he really wished he could have been there. I think Disney did a great job making this kid-friendly, but I'm not sure that it was really a place for really small children. I'm not sure if this is an activity that would really entertain them for, 4 days. But that being said, I think that teenagers, on the other hand, like my 10-year-old daughter, Emily, she just absolutely, I think she would have been just fine, like hanging in there with me, chasing all the Disney Channel stars down.
Not to mention the Radio Disney area, that thing was just going like
exactly.
crazy.
They were like rocking. I mean, every single day they had the music pumping. They had Ernie D out there. and had the fans dancing, and they brought up all the Disney Channel stars and interviewed them, and I think there was a lot there for the tweens, but maybe not for the smaller children.
The other thing too, Mary Jo, is that in a lot of the booths in the back where they had all the rooms set up, like the different, they had a Disney bedroom set up and the kids' bedroom set up.
The playhouses. And there was a lot of crafts, believe it or not, going on back there at different times that you could go back and do. Like, I made both of my kids like a little autograph book.
Right.
Yeah, you could go back. They had these Disney adorable iron-ons you could put on a bag. They had, there were some games going on. So there was so much. I felt
you could play with toys too.
Absolutely.
All the new Disney toys. They had a whole section.
Absolutely.
They're not toys; they're collectibles.
Yeah.
No,
when they're in my house, they're collectibles.
Yeah. You keep telling yourself that, Lou.
One that you didn't mention was the ABCs of Disney. That was on the Thursday afternoon, and that was really huge. They gave us a little sneak peek at some of the upcoming fall shows that will be out. Kelsey Grammer, Patricia Heaton, Ed O'Neill, and Courtney Cox. I think you've heard of her, haven't you, Lou?
She's a collectible.
And like you mentioned, Cheryl Burke was there from Dancing with the Stars, and then, of course, Donny Osmond's going to be on the next season, and they both danced, and that was just unbelievable. It was just so much fun to see in person.
And that's the thing, and you're touching on something that I was going to mention later was all aspects of the Disney company were represented here very, very well, save for maybe ESPN, but the TV shows and Disney consumer products and the movies. And there was in addition, right next to Radio Disney, there was a giant Lost University and a Lost exhibit getting you excited for, or sad in my case, for the last season of Lost and some of the other shows that are coming up, like Flash Forward, which they said is kind of like Lost meets Heroes. So, again, a lot of things to get you excited about some of the things that are going on and introduce you to some of the things that are happening in all the different aspects of the company.
Right, and don't forget about the Alice in Wonderland area, which was one of my very, very favorite places that I returned back to like 12 times.
The other thing too, well, you know what, Becky, we'll go back to that because that's we had such a ball.
That's a whole other show right
there. But the other thing that they did, which I thought was so fantastic, was the Disney Volunteers.
Volunteers, I had that on my list too.
Yeah. It was so incredible. Every day they had a different thing that they were either donating or giving to a charity that you did, and you got these ears that said you were a volunteer. Like Lizette and I escaped, and we went over there, and I was hoping thought I was actually going to take this mural home and hang it in one of my kids' rooms. And they're like, no, we're donating it to one of the hospitals close to here in the children's, unit. And they were putting it all together, and it was going to be this huge Disney mural. It was absolutely spectacular.
Yeah. We made it a point of going there every single day and they had a different project every single day. And Deanna, you and I went over and we did the postcards for the troops.
I was going to mention that too. You guys did the postcards. You took us on a walk, and you did the postcards for the troops.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
And we planted seedlings.
For community gardens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and over to where the Legos were, where you could put a piece of Lego on. They had the 3 murals of the Legos. One was Walt. And I didn't get to see what the other 2 were going to end up as. I don't know if you guys, did you see what the other 2 were going to be?
Yeah, the middle one was the D23 Expo kind of mural with the Mickey. It kind of looks like a cartoon.
Right. I think it's called In the Company of Legends.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other on the right, so on the left was Walt, and the middle was the mural. And in the right was a little kid with a light bulb. And I asked them, I said, was that anybody in particular? He said, no, just a kid with an idea.
Yeah.
Like Walt.
Walt. And, they were donating those too. So, it was just amazing how they were able to touch on all these different things and incorporate it into these 4 days. It was overwhelming, but it was awesome, everything that they did.
They also had a castle with made out of cans.
Yes.
Right.
For a food drive.
Right.
Yeah, and just a quick aside too, one of the things that I had made a mental note on very early on and throughout the whole exhibit was there was always an abundance of people around to help you find out where you were going or to man the booths or to do whatever. I mean, there was never a shortage of, volunteers and D23 staff who did an awesome job of making sure everything sort of ran as smoothly as possible. And I applaud them for that, for how smoothly everything went. But as you guys were talking about some of those things, again, specifically things over in the Consumer Products Pavilion, there was so much going on. There was maybe 24 different exhibits, but a lot of the things that you mentioned were not passive experiences, things that you walked by and took a look at, something on display. There was so much about the expo that was interactive. So the Lego mural came together because you walked up and you were given a square, and that was pre-colored, and you were to fill that square in with Legos, and that square was made part of that. So you had a hand in making that mural. And interactive also, they had the Donald Duck 75th anniversary portrait contest where guests were able to send in their portraits, and one was selected as the anniversary portrait. There was pin trading, there was vinylmation trading, not just with Disney exhibits, but with each other, where guests could interact with one another. And maybe this is a good time to talk about a simple table set up for a wacky sort of tea party, but that Alice in Wonderland sort of mini exhibit there was so much, maybe just for us, but it was so much fun. Yeah. We went back no less than 10 times, and I'll not talk about my unhealthy obsession with the Red Queen at this point either. And we brought the box people with us. We brought the box people with us.
That's right.
Mark, the Red Queen really liked the box people. She was really interested to see what they were saying, and,
right.
She just was really intent, and wow, every time we went over there with the computer, she was just like, wow, this is so cool.
They had as much of a good time with it as we did.
And when Becky and I went over there, we were over there. Becky, we must have been over there for what? It felt like 40 minutes at least.
At least.
But,
yeah.
I mean, they loved it. I mean,
we loved everything.
We had such a good time.
More.
We had such a good time. And the hats, weren't the hats just awesome, so classy?
And just sort of describe quickly for the people that weren't there or didn't follow along on the live chat what this was. Obviously promoting the Alice in Wonderland film that's coming up, but explain what was going on, any of you, what was going on at that table and what it was that kept you going back. For me, it was the Red Queen, and I'm done.
Interaction with the characters, and they were kind of a Tim Burton, like he said, a trippy version of Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. It was just off the wall, a little bit psychedelic. They had everything, all the elements there of a tea party, and they had the hats where they would put one on you, and you could participate. It was just fun interacting with the characters, and they were just, marvelous with their creativity and just their fun-lovingness and getting you involved with the whole thing.
Yeah, they really brought you into their world. They brought you into their world, and the moment that a seat opened up, everybody was like clamoring to sit down. And they had the Mad Hatter Tea Party, obviously, but they had all of the cups and saucers on the table, and somebody would come over and put a hat on your head and take pictures with you, and then just keep you so engaged you didn't want to leave. It was great.
But no real tea, though. And they had cookies that said eat me, but they said not to eat them.
Yeah. And then they would go over all the different teas.
Not to touch the cupcakes.
Yeah, all the different teas. Is it salty? No, it's wheat tea. Is it green tea? No, there's no tea.
Are you trying to be the Red Queen? Are you trying to
exactly. I don't have the shoes, though. Let me tell you, I don't have the shoes.
But, I mean, and again, that's just one of the things that made it so much fun for everybody, even if you weren't in the exhibits and things like that. It's just walking around the floor. There was so very much going on that I think was just so well done. So if you couldn't, and we'll talk about the fact that sometimes you couldn't get into some of the exhibits some of the presentations because they did fill up very, very quickly, but there was always something else to do. There was something else to see. And maybe this is a good time to talk about some of the exhibits. And I know for me specifically, the one that I was most excited to see, the one that blew me away on so many levels was the Parks and Resorts exhibit, the main huge exhibit on the show floor, which was incredible and really highlighted 4 aspects of the Parks and Resorts and what they were looking to do, which was fantasy, adventure, tomorrow, and new frontiers. And I'm going to post something, sort of a walkthrough and a discussion that we had with Imagineers who were there on site, which I think, again, was very important because guests had a chance to not just walk through these exhibits, but talk to the Imagineers that worked on these attractions and worked on these exhibits and look at things like the real model for Cars Land and audio animatronics figures and the future of animatronics figures and the interactive sandbox and Hong Kong. And for me, seeing Lucky was great, but getting to interact with the living Wall-E, I just thought was awesome. Better than seeing the original audio animatronic of President Abraham Lincoln, with all due respect to Honest Abe.
That's because you're not taller than Abe Lincoln, and you're taller than
now.
Wall-E.
See, now that Mendyke, that's not going to get you back on the show.
Well, from the very beginning, when you stand up to queue up, you had that whole wall of all of the posters from different attractions and things. And then when you first walked in and you got to see a little bit of the movie of the past and things that happened in the parks and how that wall opened up, that really kind of told me what kind of magic we were in for when we walked into that pavilion. It was incredible.
Did all of you get a chance to go and see it? I know Lizette and Deanna, you escaped, but you did not get a chance to get in there?
We didn't get in there.
You weren't
I did sneak away to get in there, and I agree with Becky. That part when that wall opened up was spectacular.
So Deanna's the only one. Deanna, you didn't miss anything.
It was a little bit sad that, you on a normal day, I could see myself spending like a whole day in that exhibit. Just taking it all in, talking to the Imagineers. I mean, how many opportunities do you have to talk to an Imagineer?
Yeah.
That's right on the front line that actually developed these technologies. And, you just felt like you were rushed because there were so many other things that you wanted to see. And, I'm kind of sad about that now that I didn't spend more time in there.
Yeah, and you could have, and that's the thing, you could have gone through more than once because there was so much to take in and so much to process. And you saw the tools that the Imagineers used to create the things that we eventually see in the parks, and seeing the future of audio animatronic technology, that reactive technology with the I continually butcher the name. The future of audio animatronics, which you got to see, was spectacular and very, very well done. And you could have spent a lot of time walking through there and taking pictures, and even just the giant Lightning McQueen, sort of that interactive Lightning McQueen.
Right.
How he came to life. And personally, I like playing in the sand. That sand thing was so cool.
Yeah.
Where you stood around the table and there was about 5 or 6, and then you kind of just create things about the Hawaii piece that's coming in. It was just really neat.
It's got to get you very excited about what's coming for the parks, especially in light of some of the announcements about some of the things that are coming. You wonder how much of that technology may be incorporated into a Hong Kong or into a fantasy land in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom.
And Lou, I really enjoyed that parks and resorts, but my favorite had to be, and I'm going to segue a little bit, had to be the treasures of the archives. And we actually, Justin, you and I actually got to go up and early one morning and actually interview the lead archivist and Dave Smith as well. And hopefully we'll be able to have a video for everyone in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we have a little surprise. We had a rare opportunity up at the archives, and again with Dave Smith and another archivist. And I agree with you, Mark. That was a very, very close second for me as far as the highlights of the exhibits, because for the first time they've opened up the archives. I mean, they did the tour, they did the tours for D23 members, but they've actually brought the archives to the general public and to guests, and to see things that progress from Walt Disney's desk all the way up to costumes from High School Musical and everything in between, like the Sleeping Beauty book and, Davy Crockett's coonskin hat. I mean, that literally started a phenomenon. I mean, you can't underestimate the importance of that. The 20,000 League sub, yes, I almost wept when I saw Maximilian and Vincent from the Black Hole. I think I did weep when I saw Mary Poppins' costume. There was a lot of beautiful costumes that they have preserved and put on display, and it really was a museum quality exhibit.
And what about Annette and Cubby's Musketeer outfits? I mean...
Right. I mean, through all levels of history and all aspects of the company, from TV and movies and beyond. And I know Justin was a huge fan of the High School Musical 2 costumes, but he's not here to defend himself, so...
But, it was not only seeing them, Lou, but it was hearing Dave Smith talk about the stories about how they found them, some of them, and how the history behind them. It was just totally amazing stuff that you wouldn't hear every day.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we're sort of glossing past some of the other things like the Technology Pavilion, which had some very impressive things, the Disney Interactive Pavilion, and a quick little throwaway. They had one of the original floats from the Main Street Electrical Parade out there that you could take a picture next of. I mean, and for geeks like me, that was really exciting.
That was cool. That was very cool.
That was cool. Becky, we have a picture, so I have to send it to you.
Who let you people away from the table? What?
Yeah.
I think that was pre-doors. I think that was before they opened the doors. We ran around as quickly as we could.
Yeah, I think so, too.
So they definitely had some old things, but they had some new things, too. I mean, I was able to, and anybody who was at the expo was able to play the Wii Toy Story Midway Mania game there, and they actually were selling copies before it was out. I think it just came out this last Wednesday, and that was really fun.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we're trying to sort of encapsulate 4 days and tens of thousands of square feet of space and exhibits and things going on. There was the Disney Dream Store there, which had some great D23 specific merchandise as well as theme park merchandise. But one of the things that I felt when they made the announcement about the expo that I thought was so important for a variety of reasons, and even more so after I got there, was the Collectors Forum. And I'm going to preface this by saying that I think Collectors Forum was almost a misnomer. It almost was a little bit misleading because while there were many, many vendors selling collectibles and fine art and beautiful things that went back from theme parks and animation and comic books and movies, there was so much more going on there. There were artists who were creating art right there on site. Noah, who's that sort of performance artist, you may have seen his work on a number of places, including on the Disney Cruise Line. A number of authors were there. Steve Barrett from the Hidden Mickey's Guide. Other authors were there. There were celebrities there. You know I love Margaret Kerry almost as much as my wife. She was there. I mean, Tommy Kirk was there. I mean, names that you know from Disney history. But again, there was that energy in the Collectors Forum that I felt that was beyond just people shopping for maybe those rare little treasures that they wanted to add to their collection. And I know all of you, including the two of you, Lizette and Deanna, who are tethered to the table for the most part. Did you guys have a chance to walk around the Collectors Forum at all? Lizette, did you get a chance sort of to browse through there?
I did get a chance, and it was wonderful.
Was there any part about it that sort of stuck out to you, or anything that was surprising or that you really enjoyed about it?
I was a big fan of the miniatures, and the name escapes my mind right now. I'm sure you'll know, but I really loved walking around that. I'm sorry?
Bob Olszewski?
Yes, thank you. Really thought his booth was well put together, and I really enjoyed it.
We actually came home with one of those, so yes.
It's a collectible.
It's a collectible, yes.
It's for research, and I had to have him sign it. Just because it happens to be Peter Pan, we did it for a video segment, so I needed to do it.
And also, there was, what I found too, is since we were more so with the people behind the booth, they were so, warm. And there was a guy that was that had a booth behind us, but that was selling those balls that you clip to your hat. I mean, he must have been with us every day. Anytime he had a second, he would come over and talk to us. He was like, "What do you guys? You guys have the best looking booth over here." I'm like, "Yeah, well,
I told you, my mother didn't raise no fool.
Well, I know that Becky and Deanna took us on the box people on walks just to visit all the other vendors during the quote unquote downtime, and it was wonderful to see all the different collectibles and all different vendors, what everybody had to sell. I mean, it was, and I'm sure that we only saw a fraction of really what was there.
Yeah, I mean, I know we all tried to take you guys around as much as possible. Again, because of the limits of the Wi-Fi, we couldn't get, for example, into the parks and resorts. We did take you over to Alice in Wonderland 15, 20 times, but I think a lot of time was spent in the Collectors Forum, and we did get a chance to stop and talk to some of the people and let them showcase some of what they had and some of the things that they were doing. And did that sort of translate well through the box? I mean, could you get a sense of what was going on there at all?
Absolutely. And there, it was funny because there were some areas where the Wi-Fi was a little spotty, and there was a little bit of panic in the box. But like the first couple of times, and after I was like, no, that area is a dead spot. Okay, they'll be back in a minute. Oh, and there they are. But no, it totally did translate well. And like I said, I know it was only a fraction of really what was there, but it was such a wonderful thing to be able to sort of quote unquote be there. It was appreciated by all. I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone when I say that. It was the whole thing being in the box. It was happy to be in the box. It was.
Yeah, Lou, on Sunday, I made it. When I hijacked the laptop, I made it all the way into the Dream Store, and it was probably choppy, but I was asking people where they wanted to go, so I was all over the place. I probably shouldn't have done that.
Blame the box people.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I realized early on, and I think everybody did early on, that there was no way that you were going to be able to see everything. And before we sort of talk about the logistics of some of the other things, I found myself spending more and more time at the booth. And I really enjoyed it because the energy and the excitement and the people were coming to us, whether it be in the form of guests who were learning about us for the first time, or just sort of hearing what was going on, the cackles and screams from MEI and Mouse Fan Travel.
Ding.
The dancing.
There was dancing. There was singing here and there. There were giveaways and there were contests, and thank you to everybody who came by, who knew we were there and wanted to come by and say hello. But you know what else too was something that I didn't expect was the number of, and again, Mary Jo, celebrities and people that came by that so enhanced our experience. And I'm laughing because I know that where we're going, but people like Imagineers who came, and many Imagineers who were fans. I mean, they're walking around the Collectors Forum not because they have to or because they're going somewhere, but because they were fans. And Alex Wright was there, and Jason Sorrell was there.
Johnny and Sprite.
John Tartaglia came by. I was like a little kid. I was like, dude, you're Johnny and the Sprites. I was like, my kids love you. And I think I may have insulted him by saying, because he was in Avenue Q on Broadway, and I was like, oh my God, you're Johnny from Johnny and the Sprites, as opposed to, oh, by the way, you were on Broadway. So
and won a Tony.
Yeah, Tony winner as well.
Yeah.
All right, don't, Mr. Tartaglia, sir, if you're listening, I sincerely apologize. But I was, I sort of got that Mary Jo Collins excitement. The same way.
What about when he said that he had your trivia book? I think you might have jumped through the roof then.
I almost hugged him. I did almost hug Johnny and the Sprites. So, but even when the Stormtroopers and a couple of members of the 501st came over, and they were so nice and they were so gracious because they stayed there for a long time and they talked and they posed for pictures with everybody who wanted to take a photo with them.
Justin and the models.
Oh my gosh.
Disney wedding models, yeah.
And they would do the change. They would come over in their beautiful gowns, and then they would go change, and they would come back in more beautiful gowns. And every time, Justin had to have his picture taken with him.
And the other person too, I thought there was such a touching moment was when we met our friend Timmy.
Oh, yeah,
and Timmy, if you're listening, he was such a loving kid that was so excited, and he was talking to everybody in the box. Tony, I don't know if you were on. Were you there when Timmy?
No, I missed Timmy.
You did. Timmy was a sweet, sweet kid. So, Timmy, if you listen to this episode, we're talking about you, and you were great.
And there was a lot of people that came by, and they're like, why are those people talking to their computer, and what are they doing? And they were hanging out because they're like, hey, I want to be on the box. I want people. And it turned, we were bringing people over, and we were doing all kinds. I mean, and I think that added so much to the energy. I mean, when that little girl, Gracie, came over.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that on Sunday.
She, thank God my daughter didn't see that, because I just fell in love with that kid. And, everybody was asking me, well, she has an all access pass. Whose daughter? who she was isn't important because on her own, she was just such a sweet and loving little kid who had and she was, future superstar right there. And she knows all the words to the Tiki Room, including the dialogue.
I think she's your new co-host.
Lori's not here, so yes, she's going to be the new co-host for the day. So.
Lori's still co-host for the day.
Yeah.
Hey, Lori.
So, and other people who were able to go, Mark, like you and like Justin, who were able to go to some of the other exhibits and presentations and announcements, and even like Scott Otis would literally come running back to the booth and would put
Scott
on his
Otis in the box.
Now, Tony, wait a second, real quick. We did the live restaurant review with Scott. Remember, we did Mom and Melroses. He was very shy, and he really didn't want to be in front of the mic. Now, all of a sudden, it's the Scott Otis show. He's just like, all right, everybody move out of the way.
He was awesome.
He's doing voices.
Awesome.
He's making faces.
Oh, and the other thing is that people were on their cell phones saying, "Oh, I just saw you pass the box."
Yeah, they were waving. They would come behind whoever was talking and wave to whoever they're talking to.
And then they would say, "Oh, go in front of the WDW radio box because I can see you." So there were people that were coming by because they got a phone call from someone saying, "Go by the WDW radio show booth because I could see you on the computer."
It was like Good Morning America.
It was exactly like Good Morning America.
I had somebody track me down, and they were, because there was a little lag. They said, "Oh, he just went here," and then so basically he was running to catch up with me.
Yeah, how funny.
It was so adorable when Deanna, when your daughter called in.
Oh my God!
You're talking. You're like, "Hi, baby."
My kid.
She was so cute.
Waving to 1,200 people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, "Hi, honey."
Yeah, I wasn't nervous until I found out my dad was watching. I'm like,
yeah.
It was very cute.
Thank you.
That was great.
But yeah, and there were so many people, without naming names, who came over and who I had a chance to meet and talk to. And I just want to take a quick second to say thank you so much for taking the time to come over and say hello and get a chance to meet you. And I will save you all the trouble. Yes, Big Mama, I want to thank you for coming over as well.
And also, you know who else was in the box was Alex Mayer.
Right, who is who works down at Walt Disney World. He's part of the Disney Design Group. He's a long time friend of the show. I mean, it was cool kind of knowing that there were people from Disney who were watching as well because they couldn't get there and then would email me and say, "What was I thinking? Why didn't I go?"
Yeah, so it was cool.
And there was cast members off duty that were there too as well.
A lot of
the ones working.
Right.
Yep. And a lot of people again who were kicking themselves. And Tony, I think you were one of them. Kicking themselves from like, why am I not there? This is the ultimate fan gathering. What am I doing here? In my basement, in Lou's basement in New Jersey.
I can't tell you how many times we saw, "I'm going next year in the chat. It was amazing.
Yeah, again, that was something that was unexpected. The live thing was unexpected, but a really, for me personally, a big part of the fun of the event.
I was going to say, Lou, I think next year we're going to need a bigger booth. And
I think you're going to need a bigger booth.
Exactly, a flat screen.
I think we're going to need a bigger booth.
Listen, if Mouse Fan Travel wants to sponsor the 60-inch plasma LCD and I'm down with it.
We'll talk. Yeah. I will tell you what we will. I will tell you what we will do next year, Lou. We're going to definitely get a bigger booth, and we're definitely going to get the padding.
I'll back you on that, Becky.
MBI Mouse Fan Travel is going to sponsor that. When I tell you to tear down a wall, I think next time you're going to listen to me, right?
Yes, yes. It was like Disney. We were learning along the way as we did this.
Great.
Because I mean, look,
yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about that, Lou. If you want, if you're ready for that now, is how Disney kind of the D23 Expo people were kind of learning and evolving as it went on. Thursday and Friday there was not as many people as I don't think as they expected, but the lines for the Imagineers and some of those sessions, which I had to wait like an hour and a half just to get in. Some of the events I could get in with the media pass, but I think that they kind of made the mistake of they didn't realize how popular they would be. And they had them in the smaller venues that had maybe 250 people fit. And the movie, they had only 750 versus the arena where it was like 4,000 people.
Well,
but, they were learning in things like, because you had to check your cell phones, they were like a half an hour late the first day of starting their first Bob Iger session. So, and then toward the end, Saturday and Sunday were very crowded, and there still was long lines, and they were giving out passes to get into the rooms, and then they moved a couple things to the arena that weren't supposed to be. So, I mean, they were learning and evolving, and I'm sure they'll do things different next year.
Well, I was going to say, it's probably much like us, because when we went into it, we weren't exactly sure what to expect ourselves. And so we've learned about what we'll do next time. And Disney was really good about recognizing that there was an issue, and if there was a way to try to tweak it, they did it pretty immediately.
They did.
They you know, that's what I also noticed, is that they learned from their mistakes very quickly. And if you saw, the things were changed at a rapid pace. So it was pretty amazing, the turnaround.
Right. I think, like you said, Becky, I think Disney didn't know what to expect going in. I mean, they've never done anything like this on this scale and didn't know, much as we didn't, what the crowds were going to be like, what the flow was going to be like. And they adapted on the fly very well. And that's why I said this was not just a great first event. I mean, this was a great event because they were able to make changes, and I applaud them for that.
Yeah,
Lou, do you think that they were kind of caught off guard by how many people actually wanted to see the Imagineers? Because, I mean, we're Disney fans. I mean, that is like gold to us. I'd rather see an Imagineer than a movie star. Sorry, Mary Jo.
Well, I think that the event, and this is a very much a big pro for the event, is that there is something there for everyone, and you almost don't know, well, who's going to be there. I mean, clearly on Sunday, the dynamic of the entire event changed because the Wizards of Waverly Place were going to be there. So the number of teens and tweens who were there to see just that, who maybe didn't care as much about parks and resorts or the fact that John Lasseter was talking, was different than maybe the people who were more interested in parks and resorts. And I think that's the thing that will be adjusted and tweaked for next year, is that, and I think we all learned this, you couldn't see everything. It was clearly impossible to see everything. And much like planning a Walt Disney World vacation, you needed to sort of get that schedule ahead of time and sit down and say, okay, what are the must-see things that we want to go to, that we know we need to queue up for in advance? And so we were doing it in the morning. We were like having a meeting, say, okay, what do we need to see? What do we want to cover? What do you want to go to? And that was different. I mean, we know that Mark and Justin wanted to spend a lot of time over at the Disney Channel and see Selena Gomez, while some other of us wanted to see, what was going on with the Imagineers and Jason Sorrell and Richard Sherman, things like that.
And then when you would find something that really pulled you in and engaged you, you were there forever. And it was hard to pull away because there was so much great stuff. And for me personally, I got to the second floor once for the DCL announcement. I never made it to the third floor. And so there was just so much going on. And like you said, it's much like a vacation. You're not going to be able to see everything.
And I think a lot of people almost didn't realize that there was stuff on the second and third floors, and there was things to see. I mean, the Tron light cycle. Quick aside, Tron light cycle.
Dude,
super
that's awesome.
Right?
I saw that picture.
Come on.
Holy smokes.
So I got to see the Tron movie, the original one, digitally restored, and it had new audio and everything. It was amazing. And then they showed us a 3D preview of Tron Legacy. That was one of the high points of my thing. I guess I'm a geek, and I watched that when I was a kid. So.
Like, you're right. We're not even touched on the fact that they had the movies afterwards, the Toy Story in 3D, and then there was the auction. There was so many things that happened after hours.
I did get to see Toy Story 1 and 2 in 3D, and let me tell you, when it comes out in October, you should go out and see it. In 3D, it looks like a totally different movie. I mean, it's exactly the same, but then they have a 10-minute intermission where they show little clips and funny trivia and stuff like that. So you don't even want to go to the bathroom during the intermission because it's so funny.
And I'll tell you, the Disney Digital 3D that we saw for some of the films and for Star Tours is very, very impressive, because it's not that sort of Muppet Vision gag in your face 3D.
Glasses.
Yeah, it's just a depth of field type
sort of like Up.
Yeah, I mean, even
really
more so.
3D gags, where they reach out and grab you. There are some of those, but it's mostly you can see far into the picture, and it comes alive to you.
Neat.
Yeah, and we quickly mentioned the auction, which, again, part of that interactive experience a chance to purchase very, very unique items and one-off experiences. And I got my paddle, and I'm glad that I didn't go, because I would have wept like a schoolgirl when I saw things like the Hatbox Ghost go for $9,400. And I did. I had visions of having the conversation, saying, okay, Deanna, I just bought a Peter Pan's Flight ride vehicle, and this is where we're going to put it and why. But when we found out through the magic of Twitter that it went for $35,000,
wow.
I realized I was in the wrong line of work.
We should mention that, too, that a lot of us were Twittering, too, throughout the whole day when we did have our cell phones, and that was fun, too, as well.
Well, as a box person, I had to make a choice. I couldn't look at Twitter and look at the live feed. I couldn't do both. I tried. I could not do it. So
yeah, it was funny to watch the presentations let out, and everybody was looking down. Nobody was looking ahead of them because everybody's Twittering and Facebooking and all that kind of stuff. So interesting dynamic of how the coverage from a media perspective changed with this event. It wasn't big TV cameras everywhere. It was individuals with cell phones, and those guys and girls over in that booth with the laptop walking around. That was the coverage. That was the live coverage of the D23 Expo.
Now, I'll have to say, Lou, that I had the time of my life during the Expo, but I had a lot of fun after hours. And I know it sounds bad, but you can kind of explain what we kind of hung out after it was done, and actually ate some dinner together, and we had some fun there, too. So I don't know if you want to get into that, but...
I was just going to say, too, the blessing and the curse of D23, and I guess if I had one suggestion for maybe D23 changing next year, might be, especially on the weekday days, it ran from 8 o'clock in the morning for D23 members, 9 o'clock in the morning for non-members, until 5 p.m. I would have liked to have seen it run a little bit later, having the show floor open, because I think people who were locals in the area missed out on Thursday and Friday being able to catch some of the things. But the blessing was that if you weren't going to go to some of the presentations at night, and Mary Jo Collins, I blew off Richard Sherman for you because I love you that much. But we did. We had, the fact that Disneyland happens to be right across the street, right next door, is great, because we had such a good time going into the parks, and our little band of 5 or 6 people quickly blossomed into 25 people, and taking over a boat on Small World and a boat on Pirates, and having a blast at dinner at Goofy's Kitchen, and spending my 10-year wedding anniversary eating turkey sandwiches in Disneyland with 20 of my closest friends was we had such a good time doing that. And it's just, I think it's that excitement that sort of carried over from the expo itself.
Thanks for sharing your anniversary with us, Lou.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me get out of an anniversary.
I can't get the smile off my face. That's the funny part, is I'm sitting here and reliving that, and I cannot get the smile off my face. There was so much laughter and fun and joy from the moment that we walked into the showroom floor till the evening events. It was just incredible.
I agree.
And now, Lizette, this was your first time, obviously not just at the expo and the chaos and craziness of the booth, but again, you got the added benefit of getting to go to Disneyland as well. What was that experience like for you, sort of carrying over from the expo and, again, being the Walt Disney World person heading over to Disneyland?
Oh, it was definitely, sensory overload times 2, because it was the expo and then it was being at the park. It was really different. Obviously, walking into Disneyland, it felt like I was in some dream. Everything wasn't really where it was supposed to be, and it had a completely different feel to it, but it was a great experience to be there with such a large group. I think the first night that we got there, that we had about 20-something with us, and it was an amazing experience to, finish up the expo and have that energy coming off the show and go straight to the park was incredible.
And even when we went to dinner, we went to Goofy's Kitchen one night, and Goofy was probably the appropriate name and place to be, because we were acting like a bunch of kids. Not me, and thankfully there's no video to prove it. You guys were up.
No.
You guys, no. I was not dancing. You guys were dancing. I was photographing for research purposes.
Well, it was
the characters were dancing.
Yeah, the characters were dancing, and how cool was that when they baked a cake? I mean, they play this song and they bake a cake. Goofy comes out from the kitchen with all the kids, and they bake this cake. And Minnie was dancing, and it was great.
And you felt no guilt whatsoever that your kids weren't there, did you?
I did not feel guilty at all that my kids were not there. I have to say, truthfully, because
Marion, Nicholas, you hear that? Mommy didn't. I felt guilty. She didn't.
Yeah.
And Cinderella karate chop Mulan. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Actually knocked the wind out of her.
That was odd.
Yeah, things a little bit different out in California, but again, just the good time that we had riding rides and walking around, and it's again, it goes back to the show we did a few weeks ago, sort of that bringing the magic wherever it is, and sort of strangers becoming quick friends and having a good time and taking over a boat and pirates, and again, you guys singing along the way was a lot of fun. And only once when we were stuck there behind Fantasmic, when I was like, God, it's late, my feet are killing me, my hotel just seems so far away. So
that was funny. Yes.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have to scrape you off the floor.
Yeah, that was between the time change and the lack of sleep and the anxiety and the stress and the adrenaline rush going. And the only thing I would have wished was that all of us could have, well, first of all, that more of you could have stayed to help me pack up, but that all of us could have stayed an extra day, speak not of the postcards, all of you could have stayed one extra day. Just so we could have, debriefed and decompressed and sort of talked about the event. I mean, I was trying to, make mental notes and even written notes, trying to record everything that was going on. That's why I wanted you guys to be here, because there was so much to it. And we all had similar but different experiences. And I think that carried over to everybody who was there, because there was something for everybody, but there were different things that we all enjoyed most. And maybe we can kind of start wrapping up by asking you, I mean, what was it for you that made, if anything, made D23, or the thing that was the most memorable, or the thing that met or exceeded your expectations? And we'll go ladies first. So we'll start with Deanna. We'll put you on the spot.
Oh, okay, no problem. I think the biggest thing for me was just the people that I got to know a lot better that were with us, and I also made a lot of new friends. So just being together with everybody, it made the world of a difference. And yes, I'm glad that I spent my 10-year anniversary with you guys. So thank you.
Turkey sandwiches for 10-year anniversary. And the Vinylmation candle, come on.
Oh, and by the way, I saw that my husband regifted my candle and gave it to you, Lizette. So there's a photograph of it that's in a video, so you'll be seeing that.
And Lizette, you look very appreciative, so I'm
Lizette,
happy.
You do.
First of all, for your 10-year anniversary, you got a free trip out to California and Disneyland, so I wouldn't,
Please,
don't
you keep saying it was a research trip, okay?
Without the kids, though. Without the kids.
Yeah, I gave you a trip without the kids, so you had to babysit Machoni a little bit.
So, I mean, come on.
Work. You were pleased. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to next. So maybe somebody who did appreciate the gifts that I gave, the lovely Lizette. What for you, other than the Vinylmation, was...
I was about to say that the regifting was definitely my favorite part.
It's not a regifting if she gives it back, just so you know.
The regifting of a regift. It was awesome.
What was it for you, personally, that really was kind of a highlight for you?
I agree with Deanna. I was really being there and meeting a lot of great people, a lot of like-minded fans. The energy was incredible. And the box people were too much fun.
Woohoo.
So I really enjoyed that a lot. And I must say also I was a huge fan of Grace. And I hope you could make her a co-host, because she was the most beautiful little girl I've ever seen.
If Grace's mom is listening and Grace calls me, if Grace's mom calls me, I would love to have Grace come on the show again. So, Mary Jo, I'm sure there's going to be name dropping galore here, but for you, what was your memorable moment, or the thing that you just, oh my God, I loved about D23?
Well, I know you're going to think it's going to be the moment when I met John Lasseter and had my picture made with him, but no, that's not it.
No.
Honestly, it was the Vinylmation that I gave you.
It was all the stories you got to write a book now.
Honestly, when I came home, it was just the feeling of being a part of Disney. I don't know how to explain it, but being at the D23 Expo made me feel like I was part of the community. And like Deanna said, just meeting new people and getting to know you guys a lot better was just fantastic. And I can't deny seeing all the celebrities that I've always loved, like Nicolas Cage and John Travolta and Johnny Depp, all in the same room at the same time, wasn't fantastic. But, you know, just being a part of the Disney community, it's just overwhelming.
I'm going to stop real quick because I wasn't expecting that, and I'm happy you said that, because when we first started talking about D23, when it was announced way back when, I guess March or so, that's what I was hoping would happen, would be that sense of community that was going to be formed by people just wanting to be a part of this club for Disney fans. And I wasn't sure if the expo was going to be able to pull it off by letting people feel that way, because there was so much going on, because people were just going left and right, and there was so much to see and so much to do. But it did. As much as fun as we had as seeing the Bob Igers and the Jay Rizzulos and the Johnny Depps and the Selena Gomez's, it was about the other Disney fans. So bravo to you to not name drop other than just John Lasseter. So continuing on with ladies first, Becky, what about for you? And it's gonna, and I hope this starts off by saying, having my booth next to WDW Radio is a great way to start.
Well, actually, I was going to say from the very beginning, deconstructing that booth, looking at it and going, you know, we can really make this a place that's inviting. And I really did enjoy that. That was really fun. There was a lot of laughter that night, and that was really, really cool. But between that, the creation, because yes, thank you for sharing a booth with me, WDW Radio, and your team was wonderful to work with, and it was great to get to know all of you. I mean, we've been in passing, we've been in chat rooms, but it was great to just hang out with you and you know, going and singing on the Pirates boat. In addition, there's two other things: the DCL announcement, which finally ended 2 years of speculation of if they were ever going to go to Alaska. And I got to tell you, that was a really incredible announcement that they did there. That was stuck in my head. But the number one thing, here's my top 10, as you can tell. The number one thing, honestly, if any of you have done booth duty before, I'm a veteran of Comdex for those in the computer industry.
Wow.
It really is when there's major events going on and everybody's in there, you're just kind of standing around and you're looking around, and it's a several day thing and your feet hurt and there's not a lot to do. Mm-hmm. The people in the box I'm serious. That made me being able to be filler for that and having people to talk to and interact with and to share the excitement with when there was really nothing else going on the floors. We were waiting for the announcements. You guys made it for me. That made my day. It made my expo. And thank you for hanging in with us for those 4 days. It made a huge, huge impact on me. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to agree, because, you know, we did spend a lot of time together, Becky. And
finally, after what, 6 years?
How many years? Exactly, because I didn't have the Mangello parade behind me. But
you did, but it was Justin and Mark.
Yeah, exactly. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that made a huge, huge difference, and it made the time go so much faster.
Yeah, if I could say just a personal thank you to every single person, I would. I mean, it really did make a great, great experience for me.
Yeah, I agree.
On behalf of all the box people, I say you're welcome. And thanks.
Awesome.
And speaking of the box people, Mark, I'm not going to forget about you. Becky, maybe this is a good time to mention, you were very gracious to the box people, because we felt bad that the box people couldn't participate in what we were doing there. You were giving away baskets. I was giving away T-shirts like they were going out of style, and CDs. And for the loyalty and the time and the dedication and devotion and you know, sore butts from sitting there watching us, you wanted to do some things to give box people a chance. And a couple other people came by and gave stuff away as well. Mm-hmm. I do remember that you did offer out a $100 MEI and Mouse Fan Travel certificate to a trivia contest that you had, and that you, after somebody had won, you graciously decided that you would give out a second one, because there were so many people in the box, and you got a lot of entries very, very fast. Why not go ahead and tell the box person listener who won the gift certificate?
And I can't wait to meet this person because I'm really excited. I saw her in chat constantly. I didn't know her name. I knew her by her login.
Vanessa Marcel. Come on, just please.
What we did, obviously, is we had a thing of questions. The first person, we drew that one. Out of all of the entries, I did a drawing, and the person who won the $100 MEI and Mouse Fan Travel Gift Certificate, which I'll send you after the show is posted, is Crystal Bates, which is Pluto Gal 8. So congratulations, Crystal, and you will be getting an email from me in a couple of days with your $100 travel certificate.
Awesome. Thank you very much for
Crystal
doing that.
isn't able to be with us tonight, but I accept this award on her behalf.
Well done, Mr. Mendike.
All right, so now we're supposed to go get our picture taken somewhere, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Mark, what about for you? I mean, I know that we had a chance to talk a little bit afterwards, and I know that you really, really enjoyed D23.
I enjoyed it immensely. I mean, there's hardly any words to say, what the experience was like, but it's like the others have said, it's not really about the celebrities or the new announcements of movies. It's really about the people that you met and the people that I got to hang around with, which is you guys. And I've always believed that really the magic of Disney is the people, including the cast members and this is your everyday, person, guest that comes in the park and the people that you meet. And I feel like I've made lifelong friends, but not only that, that I feel like you guys are part of my Disney family now. So you're not only friends, but you're family. So I really thank you all for the experience, and I'm going to remember this one for the rest of my life. So hopefully we can have some more together.
Well said.
Yeah.
And so you put me on the spot going last, so I'm going to say that... Tony Mendike, you're the... sorry, out of sight, out of
in
mind.
See how we are?
In the box, yeah.
Well, you accepted for Crystal, so I just thought that was your accepted speech. I'm sorry. So, yeah, obviously very important for us and for the feedback that I need. What was it like on your side, and what was the highlight or what was the experience like for you guys?
Well,
and remember, you're representing thousands, so no pressure.
No pressure at all. Well, while I am speaking for thousands, I'll have to speak for me individually. It started out as, here we are sitting here, Lou's gone. And it quickly turned into, Lou, go away.
Woohoo, Lou's gone, yeah.
Yeah, exactly
wait
right.
a minute. Say that again.
Let's get the party started right.
Lou is gone. Give us Becky and Deanna. That's who we want to take us for a walk.
Woohoo!
See, look.
It's amazing how much the energy transpired over the ether, and over these interwebs that we watched you guys on, and it's funny because I met friends in the chat room, people I don't know, I've never met, probably will never meet, but I met so many friends that are the quote unquote regulars in the box room, that they're friends. We talked every day. We still talk, over Twitter, over Facebook, whatever. So it was a bonding experience. It was really fascinating to be a part of, and I only wish that I could be just like Scott Otis, a former box person, and be able to be on the other side of the camera and give some reports back to the box people at the next D23 conference.
Tony, I'll make sure that you go on another research trip, okay? I'll have to I will have to speak to your wife personally and let her know that's okay. And I'll take her away on a research trip, okay?
I like that idea up until you taking away Tony's wife.
Yeah, we were good. That might not be that might be a good idea.
Yeah, Tony was texting me at D23, already laying the groundwork, being like, dude, okay, I'm coming next year, and we got to get the story straight. I got your back, bro. Don't worry. You're coming awesome. To the next event. So I'll throw a WDW radio polo on you, and you can just tell your wife that you're working the table.
It's a research trip, totally.
Yeah. Well, we definitely do need a box people meet. I think that's going to be a necessity.
And again, if you didn't get it, any box people that are listening, and if they're on Facebook, just go to www.tinyurl.com/boxpeople. That'll take you right to the fan page for the box people. There's a lot of activity. I think there's 300-something people there already. So let's keep it going.
I will, as they say, Tony, I will link that up in the show notes. I'll link it up, my friend. So...
there's also pictures, Lou, on your WDW
I was just going to say,
Facebook
Tony, Mark, and Mary Jo, and I think Lori, but you guys uploaded a boatload of pictures. You guys did an awesome job taking photos and getting them up there. So I'll put all the links to the photo galleries and the Facebook pages and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to have some more coverage of it as well. That was the tough thing for me, and I really felt bad, was I planned on video blogging every day, and I was so busy and I was so crazy and time got away. But I do have content that I promise that I will share and get it up online as soon as possible. But without sort of beating the horse to death, I'll avoid the silly joke and say that the flash forward preview on ABC really was the highlight of my event. There were things about it for me on a personal level that I enjoyed. Believe it or not, seeing and getting to get up close with some of the Imagineering legends was a highlight for me, because that's a vanishing group of people that started it all. And remember, there were no Imagineers that came before them. They laid the groundwork. So they are a very important part of Disney history and theme park history, and that's important to me. So when you get a chance to hear from and talk to an ex Atencio and an Alice Davis, that's a big deal on a very, very personal level, and I will not, bore or share the details. I got to meet Richard Sherman, and I'm sure you know how much that segment meant to me personally when I got to talk to him on the show. So to meet him and have time to talk to him was a highlight, completely a highlight for me, even more than spending some private time with the Red Queen. But that being said, I could have not have visited one exhibit. I could have not listened to one keynote or seen a presentation or walked beyond the confines of the booth. And I would still say that for me, made my expo. It is about the people that it brought together, whether they came to see Selena Gomez or whether they came to see Bob Iger. We are all sort of like-minded people, and I did make so many new friends and got to associate faces with names of emails of people that I received, and so many people who took the time to come over out of their expo when there was so much else going on to say hello and say that they listen, or to do whatever, or just say hi, or visit the people in the box. That very much for me. And one of you guys said it right, but friends are more like family. And that's very much how I felt afterwards, especially all of you who were in the booth and in the box and at the table. And thanks also go to Justin Machoni and Lori Burke and her mom, Lisa, who were there, who couldn't be here tonight, but made the experience so great and helped out so very much. Again, where were you when I was packing up? Other than that, it was a great experience. And, I could name names, Little Gracie, Big Mama, whatever. But it was it was an amazing time, and it really is thanks to all of you and everybody else. And again, huge applause and accolades go out to everybody from the D23 staff for putting together an amazing event. I would leave them with simply one question, which is, when can I sign up for the next one? Because without a doubt, this is going to be, whether it's a yearly event, a bi-yearly, however it is they schedule it, it is something I think we will all make sure that we are at in the future.
And we're definitely going to have a shift change for
yeah.
for
who's letting Deanna away? Who
and the WDW radio team. So don't worry about that.
See that, Tony? We need more volunteers.
There you go.
We need more volunteers at the booth. You get a shiny new polo shirt, the embroidered one. So, and dinner at Goofy's Kitchen with Mary Jo. So
I'm there.
And I bet you she'll have a good story too.
I'm sure she will.
Can't wait.
So again, guys, thank you so much for not only coming on tonight to talk about this and to sort of refresh my recollection about things that I forgot and make me smile again about the memories that we all shared, but for all your help at the table and at the booth, and Mark and Justin and everybody else who was walking around with the box people and with the cameras and who uploaded all the pictures. You are a huge, huge help to me, and I am forever indebted to you. So, Mark Lorenzo, Mary Jo Collins, Tony Mendyke, Becky Mankin from MEI and Mousefan Travel. Go visit her at mousefantravel.com. Lizette Tarano, you can go visit her website and submit your magical memories and moments for inclusion in her new book called WDW Memories. Her website is mywdwmemories.com. Deanna Mongello, you can visit her here in Naples, Florida. Thank you, as always, for being so supportive and understanding. Justin Mitroni, big thanks to you, buddy. I'm sorry you couldn't make it tonight. Again, Lisa and her mom, everybody else who came by, thank you.
Lori.
What did I say? Lisa and her mom?
Lori and her mom.
Man, sorry. See? Let me try that again. Strike that. Reverse it. Lori and her mom, Lisa, was what I was trying to say. Again, from the bottom of my heart, my sincerest thanks to all of you. I love you guys, and you made my expo, so thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
And this was my first time I'm actually a guest on WDW Radio.
No. It's your second time. Remember, we ate around the world in food and wine next year?
You can't include that. That doesn't count.
This is why you got a candle vinylmation for your 10-year anniversary. Because you just have no sentimental value whatsoever.
Yeah, right. Research trip.
And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Yeah.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed our look back at Disney's D23 Expo. Big thanks to all my guests, including Deanna, Lizette, Mark, Mary Jo, Becky, and those who couldn't make it, including Lori, her mom, and Justin. All of you were huge helps, not just on the round table, but certainly at the expo, at the booth, and you all helped make my experience so memorable and so special. Thanks also again to Becky and her team over at Mousefan Travel, who helped keep the excitement and energy at the booth so very high. Tony Mendyke and the literally thousands of viewers in the box, at home and at work and on their iPhones who followed along. Many of you for 4 days really enhanced our experience on the floor, and I promise I will do more live shows and more coverage of events like this as much as possible. Thanks also, real quick, to everybody over at D23, including the staff and the vendors and the exhibitors and the celebrities and the executives, everybody involved. It was an amazing event that I was so happy and proud and felt privileged to be a very, very small part of. Also, quick thanks over to everybody over at Fox 35 Orlando. I appeared last week on the Good Day Show to talk about the expo and some of the announcements like Fantasyland and Star Tours. I'll put a link to that in the show notes when that becomes available online. Now, if you couldn't make it to D23, and if you're coming to Walt Disney World soon, I'd love to meet you guys at a WDW Radio Meet of the Month. The next one is coming up next week. It's Saturday, September 26th at 12 noon at the Flame Tree Barbecue at the lower level in Disney's Animal Kingdom. That is Adventurers Club Weekend, the Expedition Everest Challenge, food and wine, of course. Please come by. No RSVP necessary, but I'll put a link in the show notes to Facebook and the forums. Come by, let us know that you're coming. October's Meet of the Month is going to be Saturday the 24th or Sunday the 25th. That's the Tower of Terror 13K weekend. I'll post more information and talk about it and tweet and Facebook it on the show when we have the exact location, date, and time. Don't forget, too, about the Disney Dream Cruise that we're going to have in 2011. Still looking to find out interest in the cruise, when you might like to go, waiting for an announcement from Disney, hopefully any day now, as to when the inaugural might be and when the ship is going to start sailing, so we'll have more information and details. But please come by, let us know that you might be interested. Look on the site this week for more new videos, including a bunch of videos from D23, from the expo, including just a fun video about things that were going on the floor and on the booth, something special from the archives exhibit, and so much more. Again, if you subscribe to the show in iTunes, I'll put the shows in there. You can also find them on YouTube and right at the homepage of WDWradio.com. There, you can also order signed copies of my trivia books, the audio guides, a link to celebrationspress.com if you're interested in subscribing to, contributing to, or getting back issues of Celebrations magazine. If you have a question you want answered on the show, email me at lou@wdwradio.com, or if you want to be heard on the air, call the toll-free voicemail line at 888-703-2171. Don't forget, come by, join the forums at WDW Radio, follow me on Twitter, friend me up on Facebook, and join the WDW Radio Show fan page. Links to all this right at WDWradio.com. Thanks again, as always, to all of my partners and sponsors, including Becky and her team at Mousefan Travel, All-Star Vacation Homes, and Chantel and her team over at DVCByResale.com. And of course, the biggest thanks goes out to you for taking the time out of your day and out of your week to tune in and listen to the show. And all I ask in return is that if you like what you hear, please help spread the word, let others know about it. So until next time, remember to always keep moving forward and follow your dreams. Have a great week, everybody. See ya.
Hi, Lou. It's Stuart from Central New Jersey, a.k.a. the Disney Geek Dad. I just wanted to call to thank you, Becky, Justin, Lizette, and everyone else who helped out. You brought D23 into our homes when we couldn't be there. Thanks again. Bye.
Hey, Lou. This is Michaela calling from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I am 10 years old. I just wanted to let you know how much fun I had watching you live at the D23 Expo. My mom even got on chat for the first time and you said hi to me. By the way, I'm already getting into downloading your podcast on my iPod. I especially love your top 10s with Tim Foster and learning about the older attractions on the Wayback Machine. And there's a Celebration magazine. I just love it. Keep up the great work. Thanks for all you do for us fans. Bye!
Hey Lou, this is Andrew. I'm Super Disney Dude on the chat. And I'm sitting here watching your live show from D23 Expo, and I just want to ask you to let us out of the box because we all want to be there. So, thank you.
Hey Lou, it's Mike Wilk from Massachusetts. It's Thursday evening at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, and I just got to say, fantastic with the webcam. I just spent the last hour on there chatting with other listeners and watching, saw Jason Sorrell, and I had to go to a meeting right when you started to do your walk around. Fantastic is all I can say. Keep up the great work, and this is why WDW Radio should be the #1 Disney podcast, not just on the net, but in the world. All right, take care. Bye.
Hi, Lou. It's Chuck Lionberger, the Disney Daddy, over at DisneyDaddy.blogspot.com. Wanted to take a moment to thank you and your wife, Deanna. Again, happy anniversary, by the way. Becky Mankin, Lori Burke, Justin Machoni, and so many other folks who helped make the WDW Radio live from the D23 Expo such a blast to be a part of. For the many, many, many Disney fans who couldn't be at the Expo this year, your live broadcasts helped bring us there, helped us experience the magic through the wonderful walking laptop as we went all around to see various exhibits and different vendors. And I have to tell you, it was so much fun. So I wanted to thank you so much for doing those live broadcasts. And who knows, maybe I'll see you in person at next year's D23 Expo. Again, thanks so much.
Hey Lou, it's Paige from DC. I've been watching your streaming, broadcasting live from D23 Expo for the past 2 days, and I have a slight feeling that it's going to take up the rest of my weekend. But thanks so much for sharing all the Disney magic with us for this weekend. I know you're having a great time, and I'm having a great time watching it. I also wanted to wish you and your wife, Deanna, a happy, happy 10th anniversary. I know that's very exciting. And she was mentioning something about, maybe a a vow renewal, involving that Cinderella carriage. Yeah. All right, just give me a little pointers. All right. Have a great time. Bye.